Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever faced a moment in your life when fear felt like a wall, one you couldn't climb over, couldn't break through? A moment when you wondered if you had the strength to go on? I have, and I'm sure many of you have too. But here's the thing. Fear, as powerful as it may feel in the moment, is never the end of the story. It's not the final chapter, it's the challenge we must confront. Because just on the other side of fear lies something incredible: faith. Faith in ourselves, faith in others, and faith in the unseen forces that guide us through the darkest times. What if I told you that the key to overcoming fear isn't to fight it, but to lean into it with faith? Faith that despite the odds, despite the doubts, you have the strength to face whatever comes next. Today, I want to talk about how we can use faith, not just as a comfort, but as a tool to transform our fears into the very thing that propels us forward. And when we do that, we not only conquer fear, we unlock the true power within us. Faith fuels courage at the core of every person's journey. There is an undeniable truth. Fear is a natural part of being human. Whether it's a fear of failure, rejection, or the unknown, it's something that we all encounter at some point. Fear has the ability to stop us in our tracks, making us doubt our abilities and question our worth. It's a feeling that can grip us so tightly that we hesitate, hold back, or even abandon our dreams altogether. But there is something incredibly powerful that can counter fear, and that is faith. When we talk about faith, we often think of it in a spiritual or religious sense. But faith, in its most fundamental form, is the belief in something greater than ourselves. It is the unwavering trust that something good can come from the unknown, and that despite the obstacles or challenges we face, we have the strength to overcome them. Faith isn't about certainty, it's about belief in possibility, even when the outcome is unclear. Faith fuels courage because it gives us a reason to move forward despite the fear. It is the belief that we can handle whatever comes our way, even when the path ahead seems daunting. When we face fear, our instinct may be to retreat, to pull back into what feels safe and familiar. But faith doesn't allow us to stay stuck in the comfort of avoidance. It calls us to step forward, even when we don't have all the answers, even when we feel unprepared. Faith is the bridge between where we are now and where we want to go, helping us take that first step into the unknown. When we have faith, we stop seeing fear as an obstacle and start viewing it as a challenge to rise above. Instead of succumbing to the paralysis that fear can cause, we begin to see fear as an invitation to grow, to stretch ourselves, and to reach beyond our limitations. Faith allows us to reframe the way we view fear, transforming it from a source of anxiety into a catalyst for action. This is where courage comes into play. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the ability to move forward despite it. Courage is the result of faith. It is the outward expression of the trust we have in ourselves and in something greater than ourselves. When we face fear with courage, we are not pretending that the fear doesn't exist. Rather, we are acknowledging it and deciding that we are still going to move forward, regardless of the discomfort it may cause. The key to understanding this dynamic between faith and courage is recognizing that courage doesn't come from the absence of fear. It comes from the strength that we gain from our faith. Think of a time when you were about to take on something difficult, something that made you feel vulnerable. It could be starting a new job, speaking in front of a crowd, or making a big decision that could change the course of your life. In those moments, fear is natural, but so is the voice inside you that says, "I can do this." That voice is fueled by faith. Faith provides the foundation for that voice. It is the belief that we are capable of more than we give ourselves credit for. When we trust in our own abilities, when we trust in the process, when we trust that we are not alone in our journey, fear starts to lose its grip on us. Faith reminds us that we are not defined by our fears, but by our ability to face them and continue moving forward. It's important to recognize that faith is not always easy to maintain, especially in times of trial. When fear feels overwhelming and the challenges seem insurmountable, faith may seem elusive, but this is where the real power of faith shines through. Faith isn't about feeling certain or comfortable. It's about knowing that no matter how difficult the situation, there is always a way forward. It's about trusting that we can handle whatever comes next, even when we don't know exactly what that will be. Faith fuels courage by reminding us that we are not defined by our circumstances, but by our response to them. It gives us the confidence to take risks, to step out of our comfort zones, and to pursue our dreams with conviction. Abilities. And when fear inevitably shows up, as it will, faith gives us the strength to press on, to continue moving forward, one step at a time, even when the path seems unclear. When we trust in our ability to overcome, when we trust in the power of our beliefs and convictions, we unlock a deeper level of courage that allows us to face fear not with avoidance, but with purpose. And in that courage, we find the power to transform fear into an opportunity for growth, resilience, and strength. Fear is temporary fear. In its essence, is a temporary emotion that often feels permanent. It creeps into our minds and takes root, convincing us that it will last forever, that the challenges we face will never end. It clouds our judgment, distorts our perception, and makes the obstacles in front of us seem insurmountable. But here's the truth. Fear is a transient feeling. It comes and it goes, and it doesn't have the power to define our journey unless we allow it to. Fear doesn't last forever. It only feels that way when we let it control our thoughts and actions. One of the most important realizations we can have in life is that fear is not a permanent state. It's a temporary condition. It's an emotion, not a reality. When we experience fear, we often think of it as something that will define us, something that will hold us back. But fear in all its forms is temporary. The anxiety we feel in moments of uncertainty, the doubts that arise when we're about to take a big step, are all fleeting experiences. They are not permanent markers on our journey. They are just passing clouds in the sky. The more we resist fear, the more it seems to stick around. But when we accept it as part of the process, when we acknowledge it without letting it take over, it loses its power over us. In moments of fear, we often believe that the feeling will never go away, that we're stuck in it forever. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that our fear defines our future, that the road ahead will always be filled with anxiety and doubt. But if we reflect on past experiences, we can all see that fear doesn't last. Think back to times in your life when you felt overwhelmed by fear, whether it was before an important decision, during a tough period, or before taking a risk. Chances are the fear you felt at the time passed. The uncertainty and discomfort eventually gave way to clarity, progress, or even success. Fear, though powerful in the moment, is not a permanent state. It is an emotion that arises when we face the unknown or step outside our comfort zones. But the key is this: we are not our fears. Fear may be a natural response to new experiences, but it does not define us. It is a feeling, not a fact. We don't have to let fear be the lens through which we view our lives. The temporary nature of fear means that, just like any emotion, it can be worked through, managed, and eventually dissipated. The more we confront fear, the less power it has over us. Each time we face a fearful situation and choose to act anyway, we weaken its hold on us. The more we push through the discomfort, the more we realize that fear doesn't control us. It's something we can navigate, something that, while unpleasant, doesn't last forever. In fact, as we gain more experience with fear, we start to see it for what it truly is: a sign that we're stepping into something new, something important. Fear often shows up when we are on the edge of growth, when we're about to challenge ourselves or push our boundaries. It's not an indication that we should stop, but rather that we are on the verge of something significant. One of the ways to cope with fear is to remind ourselves that it's temporary. When we're in the midst of fear, it's easy to get consumed by it, to feel like it's the only thing that matters. But when we step back and gain perspective, we can see that fear is just a momentary phase. It's a part of the journey, not the entire journey. Acknowledging that fear is temporary allows us to ride out the discomfort and continue moving forward. We don't have to let fear dictate how we live our lives. By recognizing that it's fleeting, we can take control of the situation and refuse to let fear hold us back. Another reason fear feels temporary is that often, once we face the thing we fear, it loses its power. The anticipation of fear is often worse than the actual experience. We spend so much time worrying about what might happen, imagining worst-case scenarios, that we forget to focus on what's in front of us. Once we take that first step into the unknown, we often realize that the thing we feared wasn't as bad as we thought. It is like a shadow that grows larger the more we avoid it. But once we shine a light on it, we see it for what it truly is: a temporary challenge that we have the ability to overcome. Fear can make us feel stuck, trapped in a cycle of uncertainty. But when we recognize that fear is not permanent, we can take back our power. We can acknowledge it, accept it, and continue moving forward, knowing that it will pass. And when it does, we will be stronger, wiser, and more resilient for having faced it. Fear, like all emotions, is fluid. It may return from time to time, but with each encounter, we become more equipped to handle it. The more we experience fear and choose to move through it, the less it has control over us. Eventually, fear becomes a familiar companion, one that no longer stops us in our tracks, but rather encourages us to keep moving forward. We learn to understand it, to respect it, and to push past it, knowing that it is only temporary, and so are the challenges that come with it. Embrace the unknown. The unknown is a part of life that many of us try to avoid. We like certainty. We seek security. We prefer to have a clear path laid out before us, knowing exactly where we're headed and how we'll get there. But the truth is, the unknown is inevitable. It is a natural and inescapable part of every journey. And yet, it's often in the unknown that we experience the most profound growth and transformation. We all face moments when we must step into the unknown, whether it's making a major life change, starting something new, or venturing into a completely unfamiliar situation. These moments are often accompanied by fear. The unknown is unsettling because it challenges our need for control and predictability. We can't anticipate every outcome, and that uncertainty creates discomfort. But it's this very discomfort that holds the key to our personal and professional development. When we embrace the unknown, we open ourselves up to endless possibilities. By stepping out of our comfort zones, we allow ourselves to grow in ways that we can't when we stay in the familiar. The unknown is not something to be feared or avoided, it's something to be embraced. Every great achievement, every significant breakthrough happens because someone had the courage to step into the unknown, to face uncertainty head-on, and to trust in themselves and the process. Whether it's starting a new business, changing careers, moving to a new city, or beginning a new relationship, the unknown is where real progress happens. The unknown doesn't have to be daunting. In fact, when we reframe it, we begin to see that the unknown is an opportunity to learn, to experience something new, and to push ourselves beyond what we thought was possible. The fear we often feel when faced with the unknown is simply our mind's way of signaling that we are about to enter unfamiliar territory. But this fear doesn't have to paralyze us. Instead, it can serve as a reminder that we are on the verge of something important, something transformative. Embracing the unknown means accepting that we cannot control everything. We can prepare, plan, and strategize as much as we want, but life will always throw curveballs. And that's okay. The unknown is unpredictable, but it's also full of potential. When we let go of the need to control every outcome, we allow ourselves the freedom to experience life as it comes. We stop clinging to the illusion of certainty and open ourselves to the reality that we don't have to have all the answers in order to move forward. This shift in mindset is crucial. When we allow ourselves to embrace uncertainty, we build resilience. We learn how to adapt, to think on our feet, and to be resourceful. The unknown forces us to stretch beyond our usual ways of thinking and doing. It forces us to tap into our creativity, our problem-solving skills, and our ability to handle adversity. And the more we practice embracing the unknown, the better we become at navigating it. It no longer feels as intimidating or overwhelming because we've developed the confidence to handle whatever comes our way. The unknown is also where we discover who we truly are. When we face situations that we have no experience with, we are forced to rely on our inner strength, our intuition, and our faith. We uncover qualities within ourselves that we may not have known existed. It is in those moments of uncertainty that we see our true potential. The unknown pushes us to become better versions of ourselves, to evolve, and to grow in ways we never imagined possible. It's important to remember that we don't have to have everything figured out to move forward. One of the greatest obstacles we face in embracing the unknown is the fear of failure, the fear of making a mistake. But failure is not the opposite of success. It's a part of the process. It's through our mistakes that we learn, adapt, and grow. Failure is a temporary setback, not the end of the road. The only way to truly fail is to refuse to try. The unknown becomes less intimidating when we accept that we don't have to be perfect. We simply have to be willing to take the first step, to try, to learn, and to grow from the experience. The unknown can be a source of immense joy and fulfillment when we choose to see it that way. Instead of focusing on the risks and uncertainties, we can focus on the opportunities. We can view the unknown as a canvas waiting to be painted with our experiences, our choices, and our actions. Every step we take into the unknown is a step toward discovering something new about the world and about ourselves. When we approach the unknown with curiosity and excitement, rather than fear, we begin to unlock the full potential of the possibilities it holds. It's important to acknowledge that embracing the unknown doesn't mean blindly charging into uncertainty without any thought or preparation. It's about balancing our desire for security with the understanding that growth happens when we stretch beyond our comfort zones. It's about trusting ourselves to navigate the unknown even when we don't have all the answers. And it's about recognizing that the unknown, though unpredictable, is where the magic of life unfolds. By embracing the unknown, we allow ourselves to evolve into the people we are meant to be, to pursue the paths that align with our purpose, and to create lives that are filled with meaning and fulfillment. We stop limiting ourselves by the boundaries of what we already know and start expanding our horizons to include all the possibilities that lie ahead. In the unknown, there is freedom, there is growth, there is potential, and that is where the most rewarding experiences of life await.